Which are the organs which are not included in the endomembrane system? They are the mitochondria, then the chloroplast and the vacuoles. Water lysosomes, they are membrane-bound vesicular structures formed by Golgi body, rich in all type of hydrolytic enzymes. Mitochondria are the site of aerobic respiration and they produce cellular energy in the form of ATP, hence called powerhouse of the cell. Hello everyone, welcome back to session 3 of this chapter called Cell, the Unit of Life. Myself B. Shobharani from the Department of Biology, Vidyashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence. What did we study in the last session? Hope you remember, we studied about a eukaryotic cell and a prokaryotic cell, and we studied about the cell membrane and also about the fluid mosaic model for the study of the cell membrane. What are we going to study in today's session? We are going to study about a very important concept called endomembrane system. Hope you remember that the cell has two very important parts. The central core part is called the nucleus and the cytoplasm has and the cytoplasm which has many cell organelles. So in today's session, we will be studying about the different types of cell organelles like the Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, and I hope you remember the difference between a plant cell and an animal cell is the presence of a vacuole in case of plant cell and absence of vacuole in the animal cell. So we'll be studying about the vacuole also. So what is an endomembrane system? So some of the membrane bound intracellular organelles like the endoplasmic reticulum, then the Golgi complex, lysosomes and vacuoles, and all their functions are coordinated with each other. So there is a lot of coordination between these organs, intracellular organs or cytoplasmic organelles like the endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, lysosomes and vacuoles. So hence they are all called as endomembrane organelles, or they're all these organelles put together, they are called endomembrane systems. But mitochondria and chloroplasts and perioxysomes are not coordinated with the cell. So all these organs are coordinated with the cells. Hence they are called as endomembrane system. But like in case of mitochondria and chloroplasts and perioxysomes which are used in respiration are not coordinated in the cell, so they are not considered as a part of endomembrane system. So what is an endomembrane system? Some of the membrane bound intracellular organelles like the endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, then the lysosomes and vacuoles, all the functions of these organelles are coordinated with each other in the cell. Hence, they are all these organelles put together, they are called as endomembrane system. But which are the organs which are not included in the endomembrane system? They are the mitochondria, then the chloroplast and the vacuoles. Now let us study about the one very important cell organelle called endoplasmic reticulum. Here you can see the picture of the endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. Here you can see these are called as ribosomes. So endoplasmic reticulum is classified into two types. One is called the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the other one is called the smooth endoplasmic reticulum based on the presence or absence of ribosomes. So rough endoplasmic reticulum has ribosomes. Here you can see the ribosomes on them. So here you can see the SER. These are RER, that is rough endoplasmic reticulum, and this is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So what is the difference between the rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum is based on the presence or absence of ribosomes, right? So now let us understand about the very important cell organelle called endoplasmic reticulum and its function. So what is the reticulum? The very word itself will tell you network or reticulum of tiny tubular structures. Here you can see the tubular structures. tiny tubular structures in the cytoplasm is called endoplasmic reticulum. So what is endoplasmic reticulum? The network or reticulum of tiny tubular structures scattered in the cytoplasm is called endoplasmic reticulum. So what is the very importance of this endoplasmic reticulum? It divides the intracellular space into two distinct compartments. So it divides the intercellular, the space between the cell, the nucleus and the cytoplasm. It divides into two very important parts. One is called luminal, that is inside the ER, and extraluminal, that is in the cytoplasm. Next, as I said, they show ribosomes attached onto their outer surface, where such endoplasmic reticulum is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. As I said, it is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. When is endoplasmic reticulum called as rough endoplasmic reticulum? When we come across the ribosomes attached onto their outer surface. Here you can see the ribosomes attached onto the outer surface. Ribosomes attached to the outer surface. Attached to the outer surface is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. So, endoplasmic reticulum without ribosome is called SER. SER stands for what? Smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Right? Hope. So, what is endoplasmic reticulum? It is a network or a reticulum of tiny tubular structures scattered in the cytoplasm. They are called as endoplasmic reticulum. And it divides the intracellular space into two spaces. One is called luminal, that is inside the ER, and extraluminal, that is inside the cytoplasm. And they show ribosomes attached onto the outer surface when they are called as rough endoplasmic reticulum. And when we don't find the ribosomes attached onto the outer surface of endoplasmic reticulum, it is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now let us understand the function. So the rough endoplasm, the very word itself will tell you, when the ribosomes are found on endoplasmic reticulum, their very important job or function is what? Protein synthesis. So it helps in what? Protein synthesis. So RER present in the cell, actively involved in protein synthesis. And SER is the site of synthesis of lipid, glycogen and steroid hormones. So what is the function of SER? RER's function is to help in photosynthesis. Then what is the function of SER? That is a smooth endoplasmic reticulum without ribosomes. Then it is the site for synthesis of lipids, glycogen and steroid hormones. Hope you have understood what is endoplasmic reticulum and the types, that is the rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and their function. So RER's function is rough endoplasmic reticulum. So function is protein synthesis, whereas SER is to synthesize lipids, glycogen and steroid hormones. Now we'll move on to the next very important cell organelle, that is Golgi apparatus. The very word itself will tell you, Golgi, named after the scientist by name Camillo Golgi in 1898. And Camillo Golgi observed this organelle for the first time, and hence the apparatus is and the cell organelle is named after him as Golgi apparatus. So Camillo Golgi in 1898 first observed this organelle and hence the organelle is named after him. So what is the structure? Here you can see the structure of the Golgi complex. It is also called as Golgi complex. Here you can see that it consists of many flat, you can see the flat disc-shaped sacs, and or you can also use the word called cisternae, and they are stacked parallel to each other, one above the other. So they are packed one above the other. So it consists of what? Many flat disc-shaped sacs or cisternae and are stacked parallel to each other. And the Golgi cisternae are concentrically arranged near the nucleus with a distinct convex scissor, forming the face, and the concave transfer the maturing phase. So here the Golgi cisternae are concentrically arranged, right? So concentrically arranged. So here you can see the bigger one, smaller one and the smaller one. So the Golgi cisternae are concentrically arranged near the nucleus. Here you can see near the nucleus with a distinct convex scissor forming the face and concave transfer forming the maturing phase. Now, what is the function of Golgi apparatus then? Principally, this Golgi apparatus is responsible for packing materials to be delivered intracellular target or intercellular target. So, in between the cells and outside the cells. So, it is principally responsible for packing of materials to be delivered either within the cell or outside the cell. And materials are packed in the form of vesicles from the ER, fuse with the cis phase of the Golgi apparatus and move towards trans phase. As we have already come across the structure of Golgi apparatus, we find that the materials are packed in the form of vesicles, bag-like structures. Vesicles, the very word with bag-like structures. Bag-like structures. An important site for the formation of glycoprotein and glycolipids. So, what is a very important function of this Golgi apparatus? Golgi apparatus. So, principally responsible for packing of materials to be delivered intracellular target or intercellular target. Materials are packed in the form of vesicles from the ER, fused with the cis phase of the Golgi apparatus and move towards the trans phase. So, important, what is a very important function of the Golgi apparatus? It is an important site for the synthesis of glycoprotein and glycolipids. Moving on to lysosomes. So, here you can see the beautiful picture of lysosomes. Lysosomes are also called as suicide bags. They are also called as suicide bags. So, these are membrane bound vesicular structure, bag-like structure. So, they are membrane bound vesicular structure. Membrane bound vesicular structure formed by Golgi body, rich in all type of hydrolytic enzymes, optimally active in acidic pH. These enzymes are capable of digesting carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. So, what are lysosomes? They are membrane-bound vesicular structures formed by Golgi body, rich in all type of hydrolytic enzymes, optimally active in acidic pH, and these enzymes are capable of digesting carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. So, here you can see the membrane-bound vesicular structures. Vacuoles, I think all of us know. So, this is the structure of a vacuole. Vacuole is a typical characteristic feature of a plant cell. Now, let us understand what are these vacuoles. So, the vacuole is the membrane-bound space found in the cytoplasm. Here you can see it is a membrane-bound space in the cytoplasm, and that membrane is called as, the membrane that bounds the vacuole is called as a tonoplast. So, vacuole is bounded by a single membrane called tonoplast. So, the vacuole is the membrane-bound space found in the cytoplasm, and it contains water, sap, excretory product. So, vacuole is bounded by a single membrane called tonoplast. This is a question which is usually asked in the examination. What is tonoplast? The membrane that bounds the vacuole is called as a tonoplast. And in plant cells, I think all of us know, maximum volume of the cell is occupied by this vacuole. So, in plant cells, the vacuole can occupy 90% of the volume. And what is the function or role played by the membrane that bounds the vacuole, that is called tonoplast? Tonoplast facilitates active transport of material from cytoplasm into the vacuole. So, actually vacuole is also responsible for storing the ergastic substances. So, the unwanted substances that are produced after the metabolic activities is also stored in the vacuole. So, tonoplast, that is a membrane that bounds the vacuole, facilitates active transport of material from cytoplasm into the vacuole. So, for example, you might have come across in amoeba, paramecium, they have contractile vacuole, food vacuoles. So, in case of amoeba, the contractile vacuole is important for what? These are all unicellular organisms. These contractile vacuoles or food vacuoles play a very important role. So, in amoeba, the contractile vacuole is important for what? For excretion and for osmoregulation. And in many protists, food vacuoles are formed engulfing the food particles. Right. So, what are vacuoles? Vacuoles are, here you can see, the beautiful picture, protein storage vacuole. Here you can see the lytic vacuole, nucleus, cell wall. Here you can see the cell wall, right? It is a it is a eukaryotic cell. So it is having a membrane called cell wall. Then what is vacuole? The vacuole is a membrane bound space found in the cytoplasm. It contains water, sap, excretory product. Vacuole is bounded by a single membrane called tonoplast. In plant cells, the vacuole can occupy 90% of the volume. Tonoplast facilitates what? Active transport of material from cytoplasm into the vacuole. And in amoeba, the contractile vacuole is important for excretion and osmoregulation. And in many protists, food vacuoles are formed engulfing the food particles. Hence the name food vacuole. Then moving on to mitochondria. I think all of us know mitochondria is called generally referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. It is referred to as powerhouse of the cell. Why it is referred to as powerhouse of the cell? As it generates ATP. Adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy currency of a cell. Energy currency of a cell. So what is mitochondria? Mitochondria is called, you can see the beautiful picture here. It has two membranes, outer membrane and inner membrane, and you can see the inner membrane with foldings, and those foldings are called cristae, right? So this is intermembrane space, and in between the space there is a substance called matrix. So here you can see the inner membrane, outer membrane, then we can see the infoldings, which we call it as cristae. Cristae has Rackus particles, right? So now let us study about this mitochondria, which is called the powerhouse of the cell. As I said, why it is called powerhouse of the cell? Because it generates ATP, and ATP, we all know that it is the energy currency of a cell. So mitochondria, the number of mitochondria varies according to the physiological activity of the cell. For example, you might have come across in sperm, the male gamete, the middle piece will have a lot of mitochondria. And why? Because it needs to generate more energy for the motility of the sperms. So in a similar way, the number of mitochondria varies according to the physiological activity of the cell. And each mitochondrion is a double membrane. As I said, it is a double membrane bound structure with outer and inner membrane. Dividing its lumen into two aqueous compartments. So as it is bound by two membranes, the outer membrane and inner membrane, so it is going to form two compartments. Right. So one is called the outer compartment, the other one is called the inner compartment. And we know that the inner compartment is called the matrix. So what is matrix? The jelly-like substance that is found in between the two membranes, it is called as matrix. Here, as I said, you can see in the picture, this is the matrix. Then the inner membrane forms a number of infoldings. As I said, the inner membrane, here you can see, it forms a number of infoldings like this. So when we write, we will write like this. So these are the infoldings. And these infoldings are called as what? They are called cristae. The inner membrane will give rise to infoldings, and those infoldings are called as what? Cristae towards the matrix. And the cristae increases the surface area of absorption. So two membrane have their own specific enzymes associated with the mitochondrial function. So I repeat, mitochondria, as I said, it is called the powerhouse of the cell as it generates ATP, and ATP is the energy currency of a cell, and the number of mitochondria varies according to the physiological activity of the cell. More energy, more mitochondrial cell. Less energy, the cell which requires less energy will have less number of mitochondrial cells. That is what it means by the number of mitochondria varies according to the physiological activity of the cell. And each mitochondrion is a double membrane. Having what? It is a double membrane bound structure with outer and inner membrane. As such, it forms what? Two compartments. One is called the outer compartment. The outer part is called outer compartment, and the inner part is called inner compartment. And the inner compartment particularly has the jelly-like substance called matrix. And the inner membrane forms a number of infoldings which is towards the matrix called cristae. And the cristae increases the surface area, and the two membrane have their own specific enzymes associated with the mitochondrial function. Now, mitochondria are the site of aerobic respiration. As we know, it is the site of aerobic respiration. So, they produce what? Cellular energy in the form of ATP, hence called the powerhouse of the cell. Why they are called powerhouse of the cell? Because they are responsible for generating the cellular energy in the form of ATP molecules, which we call it as the energy currency of a cell. Hence, we call it as the powerhouse of the cell. So, the matrix also possesses single circular DNA molecule and a few RNA molecule, ribosomes of 70S. So, they synthesize their own protein. And mitochondria also divide by fission. So, as I said, mitochondria are the site of aerobic respiration and they produce cellular energy in the form of ATP, hence called powerhouse of the cell. So, the matrix also possesses single circular DNA molecule and a few RNA molecules. Ribosomes, they synthesize their own protein. Mitochondria divide by fission. Hope you have understood the endomembrane system with the endoplasmic reticulum, where we come across the rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, lysosomes, and of course mitochondria, which is called the powerhouse of the cell. So I'll be back in the coming session with some more interesting concepts of this chapter called Cell, the Unit of Life. Till then, goodbye and thank you.